wasn't just a clash of horsepower, it was a full-on cultural showdown. On one side, you had the brash, fire-breathing American muscle cars, Camaro SS's, Mustangs, Chargers, big V8s, loud exhausts, straight-line dominance. On the other, the nimble, high-revving Japanese imports, Toyota Supras, Nissan Skylines, Honda Civics, and Mazda RX-7s, built with precision, turbocharged finesse, and lightweight agility. The 1990s and early 2000s didn't just see these machines meet on the streets. They collided in an all-out war of ideology. Brute force versus clever tuning. And what came out of it was one of the most legendary rivalries in automotive history. It wasn't just about cars, it was about pride, technology, and redefining what fast truly meant. At first glance, the differences were obvious. American muscle was raw. Built on decades of Detroit engineering, it valued torque over subtlety. These cars weren't just fast. They made sure you felt every decibel, every vibration, every jolt. V8s ruled the street with 5.0s and 6.2s under the hood. Meanwhile, the Japanese approach was almost surgical. Smaller engines, sure, but loaded with tech. Turbochargers, variable valve timing, lightweight builds, and near-perfect balance. You could squeeze insane horsepower from a 2.0-liter inline-4 with the right tuning. Muscle cars laughed at that until they got beat on the quarter mile by a Civic with a laptop and a turbo the size of a volleyball. But here's where it got interesting. American gearheads didn't just give up, they adapted. Mustang and Camaro fans started paying attention to things like weight balance and forced induction. Companies like Ford and GM began tweaking their engineering to respond. The Mustang SVT Cobra came with independent rear suspension in 1999, sacrilege to traditional muscle, but a direct answer to the agility of imports. The Chevy LS Series 4.8s became the ultimate weapon, light, compact, and mod-friendly. Swapping LS motors into anything became a national pastime. Suddenly, it wasn't Japanese versus American. It was turbo versus torque, high rev versus low-end grunt, and both sides started borrowing from each other's playbooks. Now let's talk about the underground street scene. This is where the rivalry really lived. Places like Southern California became battlegrounds. On one side of the lot, a row of Fox body Mustangs with nitrous kits and drag radials. On the other, Civics with shaved engine bays, glowing gauges, and precision-built B18 engines. These weren't show cars, they were street assassins. And when the flag dropped, anything could happen. And then came the track days. Places like Willow Springs, Buttonwillow, and Tsukuba became the real proving grounds. Here, lap times meant everything. Muscle cars had to evolve or be left in the dust. Out came the wide body kits, suspension upgrades, Brembo brakes, and aero packages. And they worked. Camaros and Mustangs began holding their own on circuits built for lightweight machines. American cars started coming from the factory with Magna-Ride suspension, dual-clutch transmissions, and track-focused engineering. Meanwhile, Japanese automakers kept refining their craft. Enter the Nissan GT-R R35, a car that took on the Corvette and gave it nightmares on a global stage. But let's not forget the impact on culture. It wasn't just car nerds talking anymore. Music videos, video games, and online forums exploded with this East meets West energy. Gran Turismo taught kids about the Skyline GT-R. Need for Speed showed you how to upgrade a rap song, started mentioning both brands in the same verse. It became clear, this rivalry wasn't just about hardware, it was about identity. The muscle scene represented rebellion and legacy. The import scene symbolized innovation and individual expression. But as time passed, those lines blurred. And that's when things really got interesting. So here's a question for the real ones watching. If you had to pick one build, a 700 horsepower Camaro or a twin-turbo Supra pushing 800, what are you grabbing the keys to? Let us know in the comments. No wrong answers here, just different roads to the same destination. Speed. Let's talk about drag racing, because when it came to the quarter mile, American muscle wasn't giving up its crown without a fight. Tracks across the US saw LS-powered beasts roaring down strips, laying down 9-second passes on slicks. But then, A four-cylinder Civic would pull up next lane, gutted, built to the ceiling, and shoot off like a rocket. The crowd would lose their minds. These moments forced muscle car fans to realize something. They weren't just fighting cars, they were fighting engineering. And once they accepted that, many embraced the tuning life. Today, you'll find turbocharged Mustangs running standalone ECUs and boosted Vettas running E85. Tuning culture didn't replace American muscle, it upgraded it. We can't talk about this rivalry without mentioning one more twist: the emergence of American-Japanese collaborations. Think about it. The Toyota 86, co-developed with Subaru, became a favorite among tuners. Then Dodge stepped in with the SRT-4 Neon, a front-wheel drive turbo pocket rocket aimed squarely at imports. Even GM tried with the Cobalt SS, but it was the modern muscle revival, led by cars like the Challenger Hellcat, Mustang GT-350, and Camaro ZL1, that said, "Okay, you want tuning potential and tech? We've got it now." Massive horsepower, launch control, line lock systems. These weren't just fast cars, they were factory-built weapons for the streets. Suddenly, muscle wasn't just muscle. It was tech-savvy, tuner-ready, and smart. Today, that old rivalry, it still exists, but it's evolved. Instead of Camaro versus Supra, it's builds versus builds. Power to weight, boost versus bore. It's not where the car was born, it's how you build it. The internet killed the boundaries. Forums became melting pots of ideas. A Mustang guy might take tuning cues from a GT-R builder. A Civic owner might drop in an Ecotec turbo from a Chevy. And at the end of the day, everyone meets at the same car meet, lines up at the same strip, and respects a clean, fast build, no matter what flag it flies. So here's the bottom line. When American muscle took on Japanese tuning culture, it didn't end in defeat or domination. It ended in transformation. Both sides pushed each other to be better, faster, smarter. And that spirit still fuels car culture today. Whether you're running a tuned WRX or a cammed-out Charger, you owe a little respect to both camps. Because without this rivalry, we wouldn't have the incredible performance cars we do today. Still with us? If you could only race one car for pinks, American muscle, or a tuned JDM legend, what's it gonna be? Hit the comments. Let's hear the arguments.